Darlene Ferrin was killed by Zodiac on July 4th, 1969.
The murder of the woman who knew too much.
Robert Graysmith believed that Darlene Ferrin had known her killer, but the theory was based solely on the statements provided by a few so-called credible witnesses, such as Darlene's sister, Pam.
She's seen him do something. She's seen him kill someone. She told me to stay away from him. He was a bad man. And that's all she would tell me.
Stories of a mysterious stranger led police to a one-time suspect known as Walker. The only stalker police could identify in Darlene's life was a rejected suitor named George.
George was a man who hung around Darlene's place of work and apparently was rather fixated on her and spent a lot of time asking her out, and she spent a lot of time turning him down. And he apparently wouldn't take no for an answer, and after she was killed, virtually everybody who was asked, can you think of anybody who was bothering Darlene, it was George Waters and no one else. George Waters was cleared by the Vallejo Police Department.
The stories about Walker and George merged into the tales of a mysterious stalker found in Graysmith's book. The author also claimed that the killer had chased Darlene and Mike to the scene of the shooting. The theory first appeared in the 1979 novel, The Zodiac Killer. In this version, the killer, a man named Bennett, first sees the victim as she works in a restaurant, watches as she joins a male companion, and then follows the couple to a lover's lane spot. The alleged connection between Darlene Ferrin and the Zodiac became a popular myth, but the theory was based on the statements of a few less than credible witnesses. Mixed true stories concerning real-life suspects Walker and George had appeared in a semi-fictional novel about the case and was then repeated in Graysmith's best-selling book as evidence that Darlene had known the Zodiac. The theory centered on the most controversial witness of all, Darlene's friend Mike, who survived the shooting to become known as the man who knew too much. Graysmith and others believed that Mike was hiding the truth about Darlene's murder, as well as the identity of the killer. Mike's ability to identify the killer came under scrutiny when word spread that he had identified Graysmith's suspect.
Is it a fact that Mike Michaud picked out Arthur Lee Allen? When he was shown a photograph of Arthur Lee Allen, is it a myth or is it true that he said, yes, that's the man who shot me?
It's true. The problem is that the way that's usually described is, that's him, that's the man that shot me, and that's it. What actually happened was, he said, that's him, that's the man that shot me. And they said, are you sure? And he said, yes, he had a face like this guy over here. A round face like this guy over here. And then he was asked, how sure are you on a scale of 1 to 10? And he said 8. Now, the Vallejo Police Department does not consider that a positive identification. I spoke with Lieutenant Joanne West, then again when she was captain. She did the research on this issue for me, dug through files, and got me a straight answer. The silencer at Blue Rock Springs is a myth. I suppose you could say, as it's portrayed in the movie, that it was just a silencer that didn't work very well.
George Bryant lived in a small house inside Blue Rock Springs Park. Bryant's father was the park caretaker. George Bryant later told police that at the time of the shooting, he heard what sounded like gunshots. Police had little reason to doubt Bryant's version of events, which was very similar to the stories later provided by both the survivor and the killer.
And I heard some people throwing firecrackers and laughing and stuff, and there was a pause, and I heard some gunfire, or what sounded like gunfire, and that gunfire was a lot louder than the firecrackers I just heard, and there was another pause and more gunfire, and then I heard a car drive away. Michael Michaud was interviewed a few days later and told the same exact story. Now, George Bryant was 800 yards away, 800 feet away from the crime scene. You can't hear gunshots 800 feet away with a silencer on it, unless it doesn't work.
Robert Graysmith included Bryant's story in his book ZODIAC Unmasked, but the author's version of the events once again departed from the facts. Graysmith merged Bryant's story with another fictional tale concerning the victim, Darlene Ferrin. According to Graysmith, Bryant and his sister, the daughter of the caretaker, heard Darlene arguing with the Zodiac shortly before the shooting. George Bryant never made such a claim, and his father, the caretaker, did not have a daughter.
In an emotional and dramatic meeting, Darlene Ferrin's sister, Pam Huckabee, approached a man she hadn't seen in more than 2 decades.
Hi, Mike. Do you remember me?
No, I don't.
Come here. I'm Darlene's sister, Pam.
Oh, hi.
I'd like to talk to you. No, Mike, there was a man that Darlene was very afraid of. That hung around Darlene, that I got to meet, that I got to see around her. And I believe you know who he is. Do you?
Yeah, I know a lot of that stuff so long ago. I don't remember a lot of his names, to be honest.
It took me all this time to find you, and I want you to help me. I know you can. You can't tell me you can't. You can't tell me you can't, Mike. I know you know who did it. I know you do.
But Majol was not helpful.
Graysmith's book stated that Mike had shared his secrets with Sue Ayers, the cousin of Darlene's husband. According to Darlene's sister Pam, Sue had visited Mike in the hospital, and the survivor said that the gunman had chased them to the scene of the shooting, argued with Darlene, and called her by her nickname, Dee. This version of events contradicted Mike's statements to police. Graysmith asked, "Was this true?" Sue Ayers attended the San Francisco meeting in March of 2007. Despite health problems, Sue came to the meeting to set the record straight. When asked, "Was this true?" Sue Ayers answered, "No." Darlene's brother Leo also dismissed the theory that Darlene had known her killer.
Any reason at all to believe that she knew her attacker?
No, no reason.
Do you think it was somebody she didn't know at all?
Yeah.
The books ZODIAC and ZODIAC Unmasked were filled with other tales told by more credible witnesses, such as retired Vallejo police officer Steve Baldino, who revealed his own secret and created a new controversy.
After the Ferrin-Majot shooting, Zodiac called the Vallejo PD claiming credit for that attack and won 6 months earlier on a high school couple. For years, authorities have asserted that there is no recording of that call. Yet at one time, there was. Former Vallejo patrolman Steve Baldino.
I heard the tape. This dispatcher let me hear it. I believe it was the next night. Apparently that tape is no longer there. But it did, in fact, exist because I did hear it.
So where is that tape and why did it mysteriously disappear?
Baldino's sensational story appeared in the book Zodiac. The author claimed that he discussed this seemingly important evidence with investigators Dave Toschi and Jack Mullinax. Retired police dispatcher Nancy Slover stated that Detective Mullinax was smart enough to know that the elusive tape had never existed because he also knew that at the time of the Zodiac's 1969 call, the Vallejo Police Department did not have the equipment necessary to record incoming telephone calls. After the story of the tape had become a major myth, Steve Baldino finally confessed that he had simply invented the story and apologized.